The air in the crowded airport terminal smelled faintly of coffee, exhaustion, and impatience. People hurried by with luggage in one hand and phones in the other, lost in their own worlds. Among them stood Ethan Cole, a quiet man in his late 30s, holding his worn-out duffel bag in one hand and his 7-year-old daughter's pink unicorn backpack in the other. His posture was straight, the kind that comes from years of military discipline. But there was a heaviness in his eyes that spoke of wars fought long after leaving the battlefield. Today wasn't supposed to be another fight. Today, he was just trying to get his daughter home. Ethan had served 15 years as an Air Force rescue specialist, the man they sent when lives were hanging by a thread. But after losing his wife to cancer 2 years ago, his mission changed. Now it was all about raising Lily, his bright, curious little girl who still slept with her mom's scarf every night. They were flying home after Lily's medical checkup. She had a weak heart, one that required constant monitoring. Ethan never complained about the cost of travel or the endless appointments. He'd faced worse. But what happened at Gate 27 that day tested a different kind of strength. When boarding began, Ethan held 2 tickets, one for himself and one for Lily. He had used all his remaining frequent flyer points to upgrade their seats to first class. He wanted her comfortable. She'd been tired all day. But as they reached the gate, the attendant frowned, typing rapidly on her screen. "I'm sorry, sir," she said flatly. "There's been a reassignment. You've been moved to economy." Ethan blinked. "That can't be right. I used points for." She cut him off with that polished, empty smile that people wear when they know they're about to ruin your day but can't be bothered to care. "It's airline policy, sir. First class is full. Please step aside." Behind him, a tall businessman in an expensive suit brushed past, barely hiding a smirk. "Some of us paid for it," he muttered. Ethan didn't respond. He looked down at Lily, whose little fingers clutched his. She whispered, "It's okay, Daddy. I don't mind sitting in the back." Her voice was small, pure, forgiving. Ethan swallowed the anger building in his throat. "Okay, sweetheart," he said softly. "As long as we're together." They boarded last, squeezed between passengers who barely noticed them. The air was stale, the seats cramped. Ethan could see Lily struggling to get comfortable, her eyelids fluttering. He tucked her blanket around her, smiled, and pretended it didn't hurt. But deep down, he wondered, how did people forget so easily to see others as human? How did kindness become a luxury seat no one wanted to pay for? As the plane taxied down the runway, Ethan looked out the window at the sunset, a streak of gold across the sky, and took a deep breath. 12 minutes after takeoff, the world changed. A loud pop ripped through the air. The cabin shuddered violently. Gasps, screams, chaos. Oxygen masks dropped from above. The plane lurched hard to the right, then steadied, then dropped again. Lily screamed, clutching Ethan's arm. The flight attendants scrambled down the aisle, faces pale. The intercom crackled. "This is your captain. We're experiencing a technical issue." Another explosion. Smoke filled the cabin. The right engine had caught fire. Ethan's instincts kicked in before fear could. His military training flooded back, sharp and clear. He tightened Lily's seatbelt, adjusted her mask, and told her in a calm, steady voice to stay still, just as he'd once told terrified soldiers under fire. Then he stood. Passengers were crying, panicking, fumbling with their masks. The attendants were trying, but it was chaos. Ethan moved with precision, helping a mother secure her toddler, pulling down masks for those frozen in shock, guiding people to brace positions. As the plane began a rapid descent, he reached the galley. Smoke was thick. He could hear the pilots shouting through the cockpit door. Without hesitation, he pounded on it. "Air Force Rescue, let me in!" The door opened a crack. Desperate eyes on the other side. Inside, alarms were screaming. One engine gone, the other overheating. The co-pilot was struggling to reroute power. Ethan scanned the dials and gauges, recognizing the patterns instantly. "You've got an electrical short near the right auxiliary," he said. "Kill the secondary circuit before it spreads." The captain hesitated only a second, then obeyed. The alarms quieted, the shaking eased slightly. "We can glide," the captain muttered, "but we'll never make the runway." Ethan leaned forward. "There's a river 8 miles east, wide enough to belly land. Angle 15 degrees right, slow descent." It was a crazy plan, but it was all they had. He ran back to the cabin, smoke stinging his eyes. "Everyone heads down, arms over your heads!" he shouted. His voice carried command. the kind that made people listen, even when terrified. The plane hit the river moments later with a bone-rattling crash. The impact sent water spraying through the shattered fuselage. Screams turned to sobs, but they were alive. Ethan unbuckled, ignoring the pain shooting through his shoulder. He pulled people from their seats, kicking open a jammed emergency exit, and started helping them out onto the floating wing. One by one, passengers climbed out, shivering, crying, clutching one another. Ethan went back again and again, even as water began to pour in. He found Lily trapped behind a fallen seat. Panic hit him for the first time. "Daddy?" she cried. He ripped the metal frame free with a burst of strength he didn't know he had, lifted her into his arms, and climbed out. Only when she was safe did he allow himself to breathe. Minutes later, rescue boats arrived. Reporters would later call it a miracle landing. The captain credited his unidentified passenger for saving hundreds of lives. Photos of Ethan carrying his daughter through waist-deep water went viral. But Ethan didn't stay for cameras. He stayed only long enough to make sure everyone was accounted for, then quietly disappeared into the crowd. That evening, as they sat wrapped in blankets on the riverbank, Lily leaned against him. "Daddy," she whispered, "does this mean you're a hero again?" Ethan smiled faintly, brushing her damp hair aside. "No, baby," he said softly. "It just means doing the right thing never really stops." Hours later, as the airline arranged new flights, the same attendant from before approached him. Her voice trembled now. "Sir, I didn't know who you were. I'm so sorry about earlier." Ethan looked at her, then simply nodded. "It's all right. You didn't have to know. You just have to care." She blinked back tears. That single line stayed with her, and later she would say it changed how she treated everyone who passed her counter. When they finally boarded a replacement flight, the pilot announced something unexpected. "We have a special guest on board, the man whose calm and courage saved us all earlier today. Mr. Ethan Cole." The cabin erupted in applause. Ethan blushed, trying to wave it off. But Lily stood on her seat, clapping proudly, her eyes shining brighter than the cabin lights. That night, when the world slept, a quiet video clip of the incident began spreading across social media. The caption read, "He didn't get a first-class seat, but he gave everyone a second chance at life." By morning, millions had seen it. Messages poured in from strangers thanking him for reminding them that true worth isn't in the seat you sit in. It's in the heart you carry. As the sun rose over their hometown, Ethan carried Lily inside their small apartment, laid her in bed, and finally allowed himself a deep, trembling sigh. He wasn't looking for glory, forgiveness, or fame. He just wanted a world where kindness didn't need a tragedy to exist. So if this story touched your heart, please like, share, and comment with it to honor everyday heroes like Ethan. Subscribe to our channel for more real, emotional stories that remind us courage isn't loud and heroes aren't always in uniforms. Sometimes, they're just single dads trying to get their daughters home.